Good afternoon. Have you ever visited Horton Plains National Park in Sri Lanka? If you have visited there, you may have seen some dead trees scattered in the vegetation cover, as you can see in this picture. If not, next time you visit Horton Plains National Park, please observe the vegetation cover. You can see many dead trees in the vegetation cover in mountain forest of Horton Plains, Sri Lanka. In my study, I study about this phenomenon. This phenomenon is known as forest dieback, and I study about this phenomenon. How can it affect the vegetation cover of the mountain forest? So the mountain forest occur at higher elevation levels in Sri Lanka. It's about 1,500 meters above sea level, and forest dieback is defined as tree mortality levels noticeably above usual mortality levels. Simply, it say forest dieback is dying of tree from top to bottom. This phenomenon is recorded in many countries, including Sri Lanka, and in Horton Plains, it was first recorded by Pereira, 1978. According to a study done by Wildlife Department in 2006, park area, dieback symptoms can be seen in 20.1% of park area. Many research have been done on etiology of forest dieback, and some causes are drought conditions, strong wind, lead and cadmium toxicity, sambar attacks, plant diseases, and so on. But a direct cause behind this phenomenon is yet to be found. Forest dieback can affect the vegetation cover and change the species composition of these mountain forests, because when crown dieback occurs, it opens up the canopy of the mountain forest. Then light can penetrate into the vegetation cover and it increases the temperature of these mountain forests. You all know mountain forest can be found at higher elevation levels, and they have very low temperatures. But if there is forest dieback or crown dieback can be seen in these vegetation cover, there are light penetrations and in temperature goes up and the relative humidity can be reduced. So then the microclimatic conditions in these mountain forest can be changed, and this can be lead into a species composition change. So some researchers said families like Lauraceae, Myrtaceae, and Simplicaceae are more vulnerable, and species like Ilex volkeri, Eudia lunankenda, and Simplochus bractealis are more susceptible to forest dieback. In another research, they say there are 37 species belonging to 19 families are more vulnerable. Among them, there are 26 endemic species to Sri Lanka. That's a huge problem. So, the aim of my research is to determine the effect of forest dieback on stand composition in tropical mountain forest at Horton Plains National Park. The specific objectives is to determine crown dieback among different species and to investigate the effect of crown dieback on species in different strata. My study site was Horton Plains National Park, and here are some climatic conditions of my study site. This picture shows you, this map shows you the two sites of my study. This first plot is situated near Thotupalakanda area, and it is the severe dieback site. And plot number 2 situated near Anderson Lodge, and it is the healthy site. First picture shows the severe forest dieback site, which has above 75% of forest dieback. And second picture shows the healthy site, which has below 25% of forest dieback. In experimental design, we selected these two sites according to their forest dieback percentage. And then 100 meters to 100 meters plot was established in each plot, and it was divided into 25 subplots to data collect. Individuals with a GBH about 10 centimeters were identified up to species level and data was collected on their GPH, health status and dieback status. In data analysis, there were 4,120 individuals, and among them, there are 683 individuals are already dead, and we excluded these dead species from that our statistical analysis part. Moving to results and discussion. In both sides, we identified total 32 species, and among them, the most abundant ones are Simplecus cordifolia, Syzygium rotundifolium, and Cinnamomum ovulifolium. According to a research done by Balasubramaniam and his research group in 1993, the most abundant species in 1993 was Cinnamomum ovulifolium. But as you can see in this graph, Cinnamomum ovulifolium is at the third place, according to the present study. That means the species composition of Horton Plains National Park has changed over the time. If we look the healthy site, the species composition, there are 2,800 individuals were identified, which belongs to 27 species, and the most abundant species are Simplecus cordifolia, Microtropis selenica, and Actinodaphnus speciosa. While in severe dieback site, there are 1,320 individuals, which belongs to 23 species, and the most abundant ones are Syzygium rotundifolium, Cinnamomum ovulifolium, and Simplecus obtusa. That shows two sites have different species composition, and the species richness of severe dieback site is lower than the healthy site. When we look the plant family composition in the both sites, the most abundant are Lauraceae, Simplocaceae, Myrtaceae, Celestraceae, and Cruciaceae. But according to the previous study done by Balasubramaniam and his research group in 1993, the most abundant ones are Lauraceae, Simplocaceae, Myrtaceae, then Rubiaceae, Ericaceae, and Cruciaceae. You can see in this present study, Rubiaceae, the three plant families which are Rubiaceae, Ericaceae, and Cruciaceae has very low percentage of trees. That means the family composition is also has been changed over time. When we look into the healthy side, the family, the most abundant families are Lauraceae, Simplocaceae, and Celestraceae, while in severe dieback site, the most abundant ones are Lauraceae, Myrtaceae, and Simplocaceae. That means the family composition of both sides are also different from each other. If you visualize the different species, how they affect by crown dieback, this graph shows different species show different crown dieback percentages. And the most affected ones in the healthy site were Eliocarpus monatus, Eliocarpus serratus, Ilex walkeri, Rhododendron arboreum, and Simplecus obtusa. Here I also listed these 5 species. You can see Eliocarpus monatus is the most affected species, and among these species, 25% of individuals are already dead. Moving to the severe dieback side, you can see the similar observation there. Different species affected differently, but the most affected ones are Rhododendron arboreum, Simplecus cochinchiniensis, Simplecus elegans, Simplecus obtusa, and Vaccinium simplicifolium. Here, the most affected species, Simplecus cochinchiniensis, all trees are already dead. If you visualize the species composition in different strata in healthy site, you can see only canopy and subcanopy trees are dead. We can find only dieback symptoms only can be found in canopy and subcanopy species. The similar observations can be made in severe dieback site also. So in conclusion, I conclude forest dieback has affected the stand composition of tropical montane forest in Horton Plains National Park, and forest dieback affected only canopy and subcanopy species and these in the both sites. In future studies, we should further analyze the associations between different crown dieback and different tree species, and the association between crown dieback and the stratum of species. These are my references, and thank you very much.